Good crappie. Right there. What is happening, people? Hey, good morning. I'm at Kerr Lake today, specifically at Grassy Creek. I have not fished up here in 25 years, but we're gonna stay. This is gonna be right along in that you can go to any lake and catch fish. And one of the great things about this time of year, most of the lakes in this area, Smith Mountain Lake, High Rock Lake, Kerr Lake, Hyco, Jordan Lake, all those lakes, a lot of crappie are up against the banks. So this is a good time to go exploring, and as you catch crappie, you find them on the wood, you're more than likely to be able to catch fish. Some will be transitioned to that first drop out at the mouth of the coves, but it's a good time to go exploring. You ride around, look at your depth finder, and kind of explore new areas. So this is a great time to do that. So I'm all the way at the far boat ramp, and I'll show you here in a minute. And you see there's a bridge here behind me. That is going to be my first stop. And the reason being, it's shallower in this upper end, just like at Butcher's and Rudge Creek. We in the upper end because a lot of crappie come to the upper end of the creeks to spawn. And we're going to do some exploring. I've never been past this bridge. Like I said, I was here 25 years ago, did some batch fishing in this creek, and but I need to explore around to just see how shallow the water is. So let's take a look at this graph. So if you'll notice this graph, we're sitting right here, and after you pass this bridge, it shows the water gets really shallow. So I'll have to be careful up there when I get up there. So anyway, hey guys, let's go catch a fish. That's a pretty good one. Come on in here, big boy. Boom. I gotta put all the cameras down. I can't put the GoPro up. Boom, that's a good crappie right there, y'all. I can't put the GoPro up because it darn hits a bridge. A decent crap. No, he's just a little one too. That's a little better. Yeah, this fish is a little bit better. 11-inch fish. Finally got a decent one. That's a pretty decent crappie there. So, I don't know, that crappie's probably 10.5 inches there. We'll let him go. So that crappie bit that Tennessee shad with that chartreuse tail. I've been fishing several different colors, and I have marked crappie. I don't know if they're actually actively spawning, but I have marked. There was a beaver hut in the cove. There was a lot of crappie on that beaver hut, and they would only look at the lure. I mean, I vertical jigged in them, I cast into them. 2 or 3 fish would swim up to the lure and just look at it, but they weren't biting. So I've came on up the lake. You can see how steep this bank line is behind me. The water depth out there is about 8 or 10 feet deep. And it's got some shade here, so it looked like a good likely spot. Had a lot of cover on it. And as soon as I started fishing in the shade, I started getting some short hits, which is typical for this time of year. You have a lot of brim, you have a lot of crappie that'll hit short. So, hey guys, let's poke around here and see if we can catch another fish. So right now I'm casting that Fenwick rod 6-pound test line with that 1000 series Shimano reel, that Shimano Sienna reel. And right now I've just let the boat drift up against the bank. It's not really windy. It's cool. And you see behind me, a beaver has thrown a tree in the water, so I'm suspecting that it's some crappie. So we'll just get quiet and take my time and see if I can pluck a couple of more crappie out here. Now let me say this while I'm fishing. So I've had a lot of comments about how to fish brush piles. Now there's logs in the water, there's rocks, there's brush all behind me. So once I get my boat in here, I'm not gonna sit right here and I'm gonna cast 25, 30 feet in that direction over top of some other limbs. I'm gonna fish. It's kind of like doing a layup in basketball analogy. So you don't try to lob the ball like you shooting a 3-pointer if you're under the goal, if you know what I mean. So basically you're gonna take your rod and you're gonna make some short, very short cast. And I'm gonna just pitch underhanded. And I'm gonna pitch in an area to where I'm pretty sure, just like that, boom. And I mean, that's a good demonstration. So I'm gonna pitch in an area to where I don't really see any limbs. You know, that's a keeper crappie. That's a 9.5-inch crappie right there if we were keeping crappie. So I'm gonna pitch. See these rocks that's here behind me? I'm gonna pitch out on the end of those rocks and I'm gonna allow that lure. So the water depth is this angle. And so I'm gonna pitch here and I'm gonna allow that lure to fall down that slope and start back. Now, if I'm watching the line and I feel a limb on the line, I may stop, I may wind it up to it, I may flick it to get it over top of it. But I'm not gonna cast way over there. You see that tree out in the water? I'm not gonna cast out on the end, because guess what? I'm gonna get hung. So the boat has floated in here nice and quiet. So I'm gonna fish what I can. Now if I had somebody on the back of the boat, see if I can demonstrate. So if I come to the back of the boat, I've probably moved around too much actually. So there's some brush under the water behind me. So I'm gonna vertical jig in the holes in the brush. Now, if I want to make a cast, I see a little opening. I hold the rod tip up high, boom. So you hold the rod tip up high. See, that's a buckfish right there. So I want to hold my rod tip up high and I'm gonna swim the lure over the limbs. And then when I see an opening, if I can visually see it, or I know the lure's only 6 or 8 inches deep in the water, I'll lower the rod tip. I might not be taking up any line, but I'll lower the rod tip and allow the lure to fall. Normally a crappie will react good on that fall. So let's see if we can do that again. Now, a lot of times these crappie will start getting a little spooky, and that's why I'm gonna be quiet. Now, sometimes, I've cast at this stuff 2 or 3 times and didn't catch anything. Now I've caught a couple of fish out of it. And sometimes as you fish in this brush, you you got to be more methodical about your cast and a little more accurate to actually get their bite, especially if they're not coming out chasing. Now there's a stump right up under the water right there, and the boat's gonna go right to it. You heard the trolling motor hit it? Now, I would rather for my trolling motor, for the trolling motor to bump it than I would run my trolling motor. Now let's pitch right here. You see here again, I'm not doing too much. I'm fishing probably in a 12 to 15 foot zone. Boom, like that. I'm fishing on a 12 to 15 foot zone, just pitching in the openings that's available for me. Now these are little crappies, but little buckfish crappie. Same thing applies if they weighed a pound apiece. So here again we're gonna go, I've got a right many rocks. Rod tip is up high. See how high this rod tip is? And I'm just moving it. See, I'm taking up no line. I'm using the rod and I'm allowing it to just float back like this, waiting on the fish to come up, not moving it too fast. Now that Kalen's jig, that tail that's back there just working like this. Now, and I'll add this. So this is a good spot. It's a lot of trees, rocks, got deep water right here beside of it. It's really a good place to fish. Now, a lot of times I catch 3 or 4 fish out of it, especially if they're nicer fish, not necessarily if they're all small fish. If they're nicer fish in a place, I may move off down the bank a couple of 100 yards, but I will be sure and I come back. Because as you're in there fishing, these fish will get a little spooky and they'll move off, and they'll move back up here. You can come right back and catch some more. Well, boys, I'm assuming what I got is a bass. Yes, it's a bass. He's not a happy camper. Well, nice old chunky fish. Boom. I'll tell you, that was a good fight. So it's done got on about after 1 o'clock, and as most of the time, it was really cool last night. It got down to 28. And I can tell the bite is actually getting better. As I don't know if the surface temperature is warming up, sun's getting higher, but the fish are actually becoming more active as the afternoon actually goes on. That's what we after right there. Now, look how skinny that fish is. Good look at her. She's probably about 13 inches long. Good crappie. Right there. Boom! Now, basically that wind's blowing through there, and I pitched up. I could actually see the fish. There was some fish there about 8 feet deep. I'm assuming this was one of them. And there was some a little bit deeper. But this bridge gives fish, all them shads got to move through this narrow area right here. And so that's one reason fish like this hang out. So, hey, let's get this fish in the live well. Another decent crappie. White crappie. Pretty little crappie. Put him back. Another good crappie, y'all. I don't know, y'all. It might be a bass. Ooh. 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 Ooh, that's a boom. That's a good one. That is a good fish, y'all. Now she's got a little eggs in her. See right there? She's probably 14. Let's get a weight on her real quick. .7. A little over a pound and a half. That's a good crappie. A little over a pound and a half. Boom. Now I'll tell you what I'm having to do. I could do it two ways. Some of these fish is down kind of deep. So what I'm doing is I'm casting up past, and I only have the 1/16 ounce weight on. I could go heavier, but I want it to fall slow. I want my presentation to be slow. So I'm just casting it out past the pillow, and I'm raising my rod, allowing extra line to go out, because as the wind blows against the line, of course, the lure, I done watched it on live scope, and the lure just sit there in the water column like this. And you'll think it's sinking, but it's not, because the wind's blowing against the line. So I let out extra slack so it'll go on and fall fairly deep, and sometimes I'll even take my hand and feed some line out. And I'm counting down, trying to count down about 10 or 12. I'm just flipping the bail, and I'm just barely winding it slow. So the lure's coming, the fish are sitting here, the lure's coming through the water column, just looks so natural, so light. It looks like it's just floating along in the current or in the breeze, and they just moving right up and boom, bite. So hey, let's go get another one. So we're getting ready. We're gonna end the video. Crappie fishing overall was on the slow side. Not gonna lie to you. I caught probably 20 small crappies. Small, and I mean smaller than 10 inches. Caught some good crappies. You saw those. Caught the biggest crappies around the bridge. Caught a few around some log jams that were decent, you know, 9.5 to 10.5, 11-inch fish. And Tennessee shad with that chartreuse tail seemed to be the best color today. Seemed like I tried different colors. It just seemed like they hit that particular color more so than any other. The water temperature finally came up to about 63 degrees. Not sure what slowed the fishing down, whether it's that cold. We've had 2 really cold nights. Not sure, or whether they're just concentrating on spawning. But hey, we got to come to a new part of the Kerr Lake and look around, and I'm looking forward to getting back up here in late next winter, February and March, and looking around on these flats up here. Hey, I'm sure there's going to be some nice crappie up here on these flats. Anyway, hey guys, we're going to end this video. As always, I hope you've seen something in the video that you learned. Hope you've seen something in the video that you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hey, we appreciate all the support we're getting from this channel. Hit that like button, click the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Wildlife Adventures. And as always, it's a wild life, and I'll see you on the water.